All right, so yeah, we're going live here. And yes, we are live. What's going on? I don't know what's happening. I can't see you. I'm wondering what's
Uh-oh.
happening. Hold on now. How could that be? What is happening? Oh, there you are. Okay. So yeah, I can see you now. So
And we're
I'm
live.
here with my friend Tony.
Hello, hello, hello. From
Very nice to
Detroit.
meet you. Very nice to meet you. Sorry for all the kerfuffle and the confusion,
Oh,
but
it's
we
all
made it
good.
happen. You're here. I'm here.
Patience,
and
patience, my friend.
it's all working out as it should. And so before we get into everything, I just want to talk about you for a little bit, about your background. I know you're Albanian. You're a friend of my dear friend Nikola. So talk about your childhood. How were you raised? I believe you're Catholic, so you can talk about your family, your parents, your siblings, your aunts and uncles, your grandparents. What are the earliest memories you have of religion, God, prayers at night or at meals? Just talk us through that atmosphere as a very, very young child and how you came to understand that you are a God-fearing man and how you got to where you are today. Just talk us through the whole story, if you would.
My mother's very, very, very big into the Bible. She's very big into the religion. I grew up as a Roman Catholic, just like my mother, my father, my brothers, my sister. First generation. My parents are from Montenegro. We're Albanian, but when anyone asks me, I always just say we're from Albania because I don't like to kind of get into too many details about that, but that's another story. Um, but as a child growing up, born and raised in Hamtramck, my mother would always read the Bible. She was intrigued by it. She never let us dress up as a Dracula or a vampire in Halloween. Always followed certain rules in the religion and the culture. Um, my mother was there for me. My mother was also my father, I guess you can say. My father worked every day, like old school parents. My father worked, came home, gave my mom the check. There you go. My mom raised us, took care of us, and she taught us. I can say the prayers in Albanian and in English, but I say them in English because, in all honesty, when I say them in Albanian, I feel I understand it a lot more in English. You
Okay.
know, Our Father, Hail Mary, the Seven Sacraments, and so forth. So, um, my mother was, always interested in me learning about it. And she taught my brothers. I have three brothers and one sister. Um, we're all into the faith. I feel that I'm into it more than they are. Not saying that they're not, but I've learned that there is a higher power than what we see. You have to have faith in order to believe. So
Did
I'm
you
very grateful for my mom to, show me the way.
did you drift away during adolescence at all?
I did a little bit um in my 20s. I did. I wasn't how to say I wasn't paying attention to it.
Okay.
Um, growing up. Go ahead. Growing up, um, you kind of forget your place in life. And when you're young, you kind of put other things in front of faith, in front of Jesus. You know, I guess it's that stage when you're changing. But that's what I got.
How did you meet your lovely wife? And you have two kids now, yeah?
Yes, I do. Good friend of mine, very, very good friend of mine. His name is Zephyr Judai. Um, I remember I was working in downtown Detroit at a restaurant called Wright and Company, and I was running the saute station there. I'm working and working, and he says, "I got a girl for you." At the time, I was just concentrating on myself. You know, "Oh, I'm just gonna worry about myself. I'm gonna do me. I don't need nothing, and you know." I was single for a very long time, and then my friend, he goes, "I got a girl for you." I go, "I don't need it. I'm just worried. I'm just taking care of myself. I'm in that moment where it's all about me, but in a good way." He shows me a picture of this girl. My wife's name is Rona, but Rona for short. Shows me a picture. I look at her. I'm like, wow. Right away, something catches your eye. So I message her a couple days after that. She messages me back and forth, back and forth. Let's go out to eat. She was hesitant at first, but right when I saw her, something about her just changed me. Something just looking at her was like, that's it. Seriously. Like I had never, ever, ever felt like that about a woman in my life. Something about her was just like, I don't know, it felt good. It felt good in many ways.
The magic,
And
that's the magic of the woman and the magic of romance. And how many years you been married? Like
almost 7 years,
7 years?
almost 7 years in September. So
Nice.
she changed my life. Her family changed my life also. She has a great family, great sister, great background, respectable family. They turned my life around. Not that it was in shambles, but as an individual, you can always do better for yourself.
Are they Albanian or what's the heritage there?
They are Albanian. They are from southern
Ah,
Albania. They are
ah,
they are right there near Greece.
ah,
They're from a village called Tepelena. So
ah.
yeah,
Nice. Is Skopje, is that a city there?
that's northern. That's
Skopje.
more northern.
Okay, okay. Yeah, my wife's Greek and her family's from the northern part of Greece, and they call it Macedonia. That's what they call it, Macedonia.
Yes, yeah.
Even though it's in the country of Greece, but my wife's blonde, blue eyes, and there's a lot of infighting in that region over the history and who belongs to where and all these sorts of
It's
things.
always it's unfortunately it's always going to happen like that. Just like Serbia with
Yeah,
Kosovo.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
unfortunately it's the Turks took over Albania for how many years?
yeah.
They were at war for years, and they took over our land, invaded our territory, for many years, and it's another, it's not, that's history.
Yeah.
That's why they call it history. That's what it is. You can't change it. Just, acknowledge it, learn from it, and
It's dirty stuff. It's very dirty stuff because the people in power are they're not generally speaking they're not putting God first. That's my critique of the those in power. And there are exceptions. Obviously, there's that hero, that military hero in Albania. I think he was
Judge Castrioti.
yeah, yeah. Nikola talks about him.
There's Judge Castrioti, and then, and how you said people forget about God. Back in the days, I feel like they thought they were God,
Ah,
in their own way.
yeah.
I'm not saying that it was right, but people forget. People tend to forget, but that's another story. So
So you mentioned before we went live that you do some trucking. Is that sort of your main gig now?
yes, yes. So I had worked in restaurants for about 19 years. And then once I met Rona, um, her family owns a trucking business. And her father would always tell me when we would, sit down, eat dinner, drink beers, you're going to be a truck driver. You're going to do it. And I used to say, nope, I didn't want anything to do with it. I did not want a part of it. That's when I was still working in a restaurant. I went to culinary arts and I worked in, you know, nice fine dining restaurants, and, I did it all. And I thought that was it. Honestly, I was like, that's it. Restaurant for life. Rona's father was a good man. Unfortunately, let me just say this: he had passed away in 2019.
Uh-huh.
He was a good friend of me, good friend to me, and he was like my mentor. Um, he would always say, "You're gonna be a truck driver. You're gonna do it. Watch, watch. You got it in you." No, no, no. One day, got fed up with the restaurant business. Okay, we're gonna do it. Let's go. I drove with him for a week. It was completely just eye opening. What else could what other possibilities there are in life, you know? You don't need a degree or anything. You need the knowledge. Obviously you have to go to truck driving school and whatnot, but I did all that. And the rest is, here I am. We haul steel. We go regional around Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio. We haul steel, aluminum, mold presses, you name it. So it's heavy duty stuff. Heavy loads. It's heavy hauling is what they call it.
Okay.
So it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Well,
You know.
I studied physics. I worked in physics in fancy jobs and government jobs also. And now I'm blue collar. I'm working in construction, and I much prefer the blue collar lifestyle. I'm not going to get rich, that's for sure, but it's the quality of life and the quality of the people that I'm meeting. I'm meeting truck drivers. I'm meeting construction workers. I'm meeting regular people, and I just vibe better
Regular
with them. Salt of the
regular
earth.
honest people.
Honest people. Yeah, that's the thing. Honest people.
That's
And not to say that the people in academia and in the hard sciences are not honest, but it's a more sophisticated culture. And I was not made for that culture. I'm made for simple, honest communication, straightforward, and a little bit more rough around the edges. That's more my style. And I'm really appreciating the salt of the earth people that I work with. And now, having said that, it's mainly men.
Yeah,
But
it is.
that's just the way the blue collar thing is. It's
That's the way the water flows.
yeah,
It's not that women, cannot do it, but they just choose not to because it's hard labor.
yeah. And
So,
there's another aspect to it which touches on the Catholic perspective, which is
and
that
what's that?
I believe in the family, that the man works and the woman raises the kids. Even though I don't have kids, but the ideal for me,
One day I hope you do.
well, I don't think it's going to happen, but thank you though, thank you.
I hope
But
it would be nice.
yeah, but you know, it's the ideal of the family. I don't like the way our
It's the
society's
old school
gone.
mentality.
Yeah, the old school
That's what
mentality.
that is.
Because the way the women got a raw deal with the sexual revolution in the 60s here in the West, and they thought it would be good to smoke and to drink and to work and to do all the things that men do, but it's not good. It's not good. I don't think it's good. Now, this is no offense to your
No.
wife if she works or whatever, but I don't think it's good. I think they got a raw deal, and I think it's better to
My
have
wife
a
is my
strong
wife
family.
is my boss.
There you go. So I like to have the man being the man, and even though in my relationship, my wife's a very strong woman, very a powerful leader in many ways, and you could say domineering in some ways, but I'm attracted to that kind of woman. But when it comes to society at large, I want men to be manly. And we were just watching a documentary about the Second World War in Greece, and how manly the men were. They were defending Greece with just shovels and whatever armaments they could put together. And today with the LGBTQ agenda and all this sort of nonsense, I feel like men aren't as manly as they used to be. Certainly in the old school European mentality, if you go back and look at World War II in Greece, what happened there with people pulling together, to
Well,
defend their families.
what they're doing today in today's society. They're forcing something that's irrelevant, that doesn't make sense. This is how I think about that. If someone wants to go a different route, that's fine. I can't change that. I can't control that. But don't try to put it down our throats. Don't try to make it seem like we have to follow suit, because in all honesty, it is wrong what's going on. Look, today's I take my daughter, by the way, to private school just because of what's been going on. And I always tell my wife, I don't know if it's just so I don't know if this world is so screwed up now, or is it because I'm older, I pay more attention to today's society.
Uh,
It just doesn't make sense what's going on. It doesn't. I don't I don't want to get too political,
yeah, 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 yeah.
but it doesn't seem right. It don't feel right. It's not right. You know, if someone is if if you ask me, okay, Tony, how do you feel about today's society? How do you feel about the economy today? Oh, it's crap. I can use a better word, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't it genuinely doesn't feel true. It does not feel right.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's
Yeah. Well, if you do look at history, and we'll move off this dark topic, but if you do look at history, every great civilization that fell, there was always a period of decadence, sexual indulgence, and license and
there
perversion.
has been
Always, always.
for years for how many years back, but it's this is a little I don't know because of you know social media
Uh,
we see it a lot more now.
uh, uh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Well, I mean, I tuned into Twitter today just to check in, and I saw some shocking stuff. Like I didn't want to see it, but I saw it, like shocking stuff, and I was like doing the sign of the cross, and I was like praying to God, like help us, we're lost, help us, we're lost, we're going down.
and instead of the one sheep that got lost, it's how many now, right?
Wow. Yeah, it's dark times, but that's why we cling to the family and the faith and all those sorts of things. But the family is under attack too. This is the thing. Satan hates the family. He wants to attack the family. That's why he's using all this perversion and sexual license. Satan's using it to destroy the family and lead the husbands
I
away from
believe
their
that.
wives. And it's a very dark thing, and it's an attack on the family, just like abortion's an attack on the family, and contraceptions and all these sorts of things. It's an attack on the family. All the divorce rate and the hookup culture, and you have one boy and one girl. You said
Yes,
so.
I
You
do.
gotta protect your both your children, but especially your daughter from the hookup culture.
Well, that's and within time, she's 5, but
Yeah,
even now, I restrict her, going on, YouTube or
yeah, of
watching certain things, or
course.
she's very, very smart. She trust me. When she gets older, I have my hands full with that one. Same thing with my son Mason. Very, very, very quick. They take they have my wife smarts. Believe that.
How'd you
So
come up with your names of your two children? How did you roll the dice, or was it family members that you named them after, or was it saints, or how'd you
my
do it?
wife Rona, Marina, she wanted the name Marina first. We both wanted
Okay.
to actually, and then Rona picked the second one. When my wife was pregnant with Marina, before we knew if it was a boy or girl, I knew right away it was a girl. Something told me it's going to be a girl, and I was 100% happy with it. I was 100% happy with it. And then the second one, though, I did want it to be a boy because we already got the one out the way. But if God wants us to have another one, and how I say, God willing, inshallah, I hope so. Even another one, twins would be wonderful.
That
I would love that.
would be amazing. That'd be amazing. Do your kids
It would
go?
be.
Do your kids go to mass with you in church Sunday and all this sort of thing, or how's that work?
They do sometimes. My wife goes to church in my daughter's church. Um, I don't go to church very much. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't. Um, it's hard for me. I need to make a more effort to do it, but we do when we can.
Yeah.
And when we go to my daughter's church, at her school. Like I said, she goes to a private school, so it's very convenient.
Oh,
I
okay. So the private school is a Catholic school.
Yes, Lutheran.
Oh,
Excuse me. It's a
oh,
Lutheran
oh,
school.
it's a
We
Lutheran
couldn't
school. Okay.
get into the privates. We couldn't get into the Catholic school, the one we wanted to, because we would have been on a waiting list forever. So we
Uh,
thought this school is a very good school just for the start. So I think it was a great choice then taking her to a public school.
yeah, yeah.
So I something is better than nothing, and I'm very happy with the teachers. I'm very, so it's nice. It's nice for a start. My daughter likes it, so who knows? We want to go to the school that we wanted to go to. It's ever since all this nonsense has been on TV and social media, the private schools in Michigan are flooded with
Uh,
you know, children trying to, you know,
stay safe.
exactly. So I think it's a good start. It's expensive, but I work for my wife and for my children. So,
Yeah,
you know,
top priority for sure, for sure.
absolutely.
So, what, if you don't mind sharing, and it's a very personal thing, but I ask all my guests to just talk a little bit about your prayer life, your inner world when it comes to talking with God, because prayer is nothing more or less than raising your thoughts to God and having God in your heart. So, what is that like for you? Like, when you were a child, you learned how to pray, before bed, at meals, and these sorts of things. But as an
Absolutely.
adult, you can cry out to God if you're in trouble. You can hope for your children to be safe and healthy. What are the kinds of prayers that you go to most often? Or is it just simple things like telling God you love Him, thanking Him for everything that you have? Talk us through your prayer life. What's your relationship like with God?
Gratitude, being thankful. When you wake up in the morning and you open your eyes and you wake up and you can stand on your feet pain free, that's gratitude. That's seriously. I don't want to get too much into detail, but I had back problems for many years. Nick
Oh,
even knows.
oh,
And sometimes most of the times I couldn't even get up out of bed.
ooh, ooh.
So what I do now, it's when you wake up in the morning, thank you, Father. Thank you for another day. And I always say, even when I see, I'll, I'll keep kind of jumping into different ways, but like even when I see someone in the morning, when I'm making a delivery, because by the way, I sleep in my truck 5 days a week.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm not home.
oh,
I'm
wow.
not home every day.
You have one of those cabs on the back?
Yes, yes.
Ah,
Sleepers, yeah.
sleeper. Ah, nice.
So when you wake up in the morning, thank you, Father, for another day. Please help me. I always say that. Another day, Father. Shine your light upon me. Show me the way. You are my strength. There's a lot of inspirational words I use that will get me through the day, because when you're not using words and you're not believing in them, darkness will come upon you. And I believe that. I truly believe that. Like I said, people drift away from the Lord. Two things that happened in my life that changed me for the better. And, you know, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. There are times in life, there are even every day when you go through a struggle. And I always use this to keep me open, to keep me awake. Are you going through it or are you growing through it? When you're in a situation, are you going to learn from it, or are you just, come on, let's just get it over with? That's that's what I love to use. Like if an old man tells, if old man, excuse me, if an older man tells you or a wiser man tells you, don't put your hand in the fire, you're gonna get burned. Don't put your hand in the fire, you're gonna get burned. And you put your hand in the fire and you hold it and you burn the heck out of your hands. You should have listened. So are you the person that's gonna listen, or are you the person that's gonna go through it? And if you go through it, what did you learn from that experience? So take that when you go to a next experience. So when I met my wife and when I got married, when the priest put that cloak over our hands, it felt like presence was upon us. The next time when I was in the room with my wife when she was delivering Marina. When that baby came out, how are you going to explain that? How can words cannot explain the feeling, words cannot explain the gift that you just saw, that you've received from the Lord. How are you going to explain that? How are you going to be a person to have a child and not be a believer of God in Jesus Christ? Seriously. That's my question to people. When I started trucking, it was very, very difficult for me. Words cannot explain it. When I would drive through the roads, going up hills, down hills, yes, I was trained to do what you're supposed to do, certain procedures. You know, when I'm driving a semi truck, you're 80,000 gross, meaning truck, trailer, and the product on the trailer is 80,000 pounds. That is heavy. You cannot stop like a vehicle. If you're next to me and you have to slam on your brakes and I have to slam on my brakes, it's not happening because you're so heavy. When you pray and you truly believe in Jesus Christ, He will help you get through the hard times. That's it. When you believe it. In order to receive it, you have to believe it. That's how I feel. There are times when I just cry when I'm listening to a inspirational video. And I send Nick videos. You know, there are certain preachers that I listen to, and their words have such an influence on my day that words by God will totally change your day. There's nothing else better than when you hear someone else and you have that feeling and you have those words and you feel them in your heart. It will make the darkest day just flow even better. That's
Do you listen
it.
to a lot of Christian radio in the truck?
I do. A lot. And I feel like that's what's helped me get through these hard times. You know, I'll send my mom inspirational videos and she loves it. And she'll send me things. She'll send me videos in Albanian and in English. Um, it makes you feel good. You know, it makes you feel like you have a reason to be here on this world. And as a man, as a father, as a husband, you have a duty to do. You have a job to do. Because it's not about me anymore. It's about my children. It's about my wife. It's also even about my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law. You know, excuse me, I have bad allergies. But when you get married to the wife, you marry her whole family.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you know because
Yeah,
you're married. Your wife's Greek.
I'm Greek now. Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go. So it's sorry. You know it. When you're with the person you love, and for me, I don't see them every day. So the days I see them when I come home, I'm grateful. It's a blessing. I love it. I cherish it. You know, God puts people in your life when you need it, and God takes people out your life when you don't need them no more. I truly believe that. As they say, persistence overcomes resistance. So, you know, God wanted me to be with Rona. God wanted me to be in the position I'm in. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's hard. It's a challenge. Every single day of my life, it's a challenge. Okay. just like everybody else's day. It's a challenge. Nothing is easy. It's not. They say they say if you tell a kid if you when I tell my children to wait, they don't know what that means. Wait. They don't have patience. Wait. But you have to wait on God's time. God's timing is perfect. As long as you pray, as long as you're grateful. Yes, I'm not saying to say praise Jesus and raise your hands up in the air every 5 seconds. I'm not saying that. But during the day, thank you, Father. During the day, help me, Father. Shine your light upon. I always say that. Shine your light upon me. I always say that because it feels good. There's days. Everybody has bad days. Everybody. We're human. You know. It's a blessing to be blessed. It's there's no other way to explain it. And when you have good people, when you have a good support system, when you have great friends that support you, like Nikola, I love him like a brother. Oh, he makes me feel so good when I talk to him. I known him for how many years? I'm grateful to have him in my life. He's like my brother. He's not even my friend.
He's an angel. Yeah, he's an angel. Nikola Krcic. A friend of mine is a truck. He used to be a truck driver, and he has a couple of very dangerous encounters. One time, he was held at gunpoint in his truck, and he was held hostage, and the guy ended up shooting, but it missed him and went through the window, and the cops had to stop him and everything. Another time, I was in the truck with him. My wife and I were in the truck. We were getting a ride from Toronto to Montreal. And it was winter, Canadian winters, and I'm sure in Michigan it's the same thing. I'm sure it's the same thing.
It's
the
harsh.
snow, you can't see,
It's
and
harsh.
the ice and everything, black ice. Anyway, we jackknifed on the highway, and time stood still for me. I was an atheist at the time, okay? But time stood still. It was so bizarre. Like the truck folded in half, and then it opened up like an accordion.
It's an L, and then it becomes like this. And the only way
Scary.
for that truck and trailer to straighten out is if you have as they call them, riggers.
Okay.
The tow truck for the semi trucks, they come and straighten it out. That's it. I've dealt with some harsh winters from Michigan to Ohio. It's bad. There are times when, excuse me, when I can't even drive. I tell them, I'll call Rona, she's my dispatch. So Rona and I work together. Basically, she finds the loads. She sends me, what I need to pick up, and I do the rest. And there are times when I would tell her like I can't drive, and she's like, I know. I'll send her a video or a picture. I'm like, hey, there's no way I'm getting out of this. I'd rather sit there, lose the load, than lose my life. When the best way to say it is when you can't go and do it, don't do it. That's it. When something's telling you, hey, stay where you are, I've had to do that a couple times in my life since I've been trucking. So,
Yeah. My
other than that,
I
thank
got
God nothing major.
Yeah. I got a friend in the live chat. His name is Daniel. He says that he used to truck, but he quit because he couldn't take it. It was too intense.
It is. It is. It's very, you are as only good, how they say you're only as good as you are. Um, when I was in the restaurant, we would say you're only as good as your weakest link. But in trucking, everything relies on you. You cannot look to the right of you and say, hey, what do I do? Can't look to the left of you. You have to ask yourself, what am I going to do? Because when you're in the cockpit, when you're driving, everything relies on you. What decisions you make in life, that's why they say trucking is basically playing Russian roulette every single day. That's exactly what they say. So
Yeah. So, you know, I met a few truckers because we had the truckers convoy in 2022 here in Canada. I guess it made the news all around the world, so you're aware of it and all that. But
yes, yes.
you know, salt of the earth people, and they were, you know, I think they were standing up for our rights and freedoms, and I appreciate that. And I went to Ottawa and I met a lot of them and gave them some cookies that I made and stuff like that, and thank you letters. And warm people, generous people, a lot of immigrants. You know, the backbone of our you know, blue collar working people here in Canada, and in a lot of Western countries, it's the immigrants. You know, whether you come from Albania or whether you come from Italy or wherever.
It's immigrants built this country.
Yeah.
Whether people want, whether people want to believe that or not, especially in the trucking.
Yeah.
There's a trucking. I don't want to say the name because I don't know if they would get mad or anything, but it has the word American in it. But all their drivers are immigrants. Honestly,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying anything wrong about that. You know, that's a blessing. You know, like immigrants, when they come to America, they work their butts off. So it's they know what they can accomplish by working hard in America compared to when they're back home in certain countries. So it's you fight for freedom. Everybody wants freedom. So that's how I think about it.
Absolutely. So, obviously, you love your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, but I'm wondering if you spend time, you know, in the Bible, and if you have some favorites, you know, some favorite passages from the Bible, and if you have some favorite heroes from the Bible, like Saint Paul or Saint Peter or whoever that stand out to you. Can you just talk a little bit about what impact that had on you reading over the years? Because, you know, when I was young, I went to Sunday school and I was very impressed with John the Baptist. That was one of the guys who really struck me. Apart from Jesus, you know, but John the Baptist
Absolutely.
struck me. And later in life, as an adult, when I came back to the faith, it was Saint Paul that really struck me, his faith. So just maybe talk about what impression you had as a child and then today, and if there's any difference of which characters touch your heart.
David, the shepherd. That's because you can't judge a book by its cover.
He was the smallest one.
when he was anointed with the oil, his father Jesse, right? You can't. Who's that? That's just that's my youngest. He's just a shepherd. And then look what happened. King David after that. David defeated Goliath. Okay, we all know that. With what? With no shield, with no armor, with no sword, with just a rock and a slingshot. That's how the story goes in the Bible. That's so. The best thing I can say is never judge a book by its cover. That's it. So
Powerful stuff. Yeah, powerful stuff.
yeah.
And his psalms are very gritty, very real, very gritty, and a lot of antagonism and enemies surrounding him, and he's fighting. He's going through it, and he's growing through it, as you'd like to say, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Because he had many enemies. Some of them rightfully so, because he did some big mistakes in his life.
He did. Even though he was anointed, he made the mistake. He I don't know how to say it, but he slept with someone that, he shouldn't have done. He shouldn't have slept with.
Yeah.
So,
He wasn't the first and he's not the last, but
he committed a sin.
the difference is though with what makes David different, what makes him a hero is he repented sincerely. And he had dear friends like Jonathan and the prophet Nathan, and he was called to repentance by God. But as soon as he was called to repentance, he repented. That is key. A lot in today's world, we see a lot of pride. We even have pride parades. And
Yes.
what we're called to is to swallow our pride and to eat humble pie and to come before God and to say, I sinned. I sinned against you, God. I sinned against you. And you know my sin. You know my heart. This is what David was very, very good at, humbling himself. Even though he was the greatest. He was the greatest king, you know.
How did they say? What was the phrase when they said?
Saul had his thousands. David had his tens of thousands.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saul slayed thousands, but David slayed Saul. That's when Saul was jealous of David, also, though.
Yeah, even David's wife was jealous of him. Remember when he brought the Ark of the Covenant back, and his wife's like, oh, she was disgusted. She saw him dancing in front of the Ark, and when she told this, when David found out, he said to her, "Oh, well, you're going to see me dancing and making merry with all my other wives and concubines," and he put her aside basically. So he was human. He made some mistakes, and he was not perfect in every way. But like I said, the most important thing we could take away from him is he had a pure heart of repentance. He's a man after God's own heart.
Absolutely.
In spite of his flaws, in spite of the fact that, he contributed, to his own problems often, with being rash, being hasty, but he came back to the Lord. And I think that's a good lesson for us all to learn, like, because we fall, we're rash, and we're impulsive like David, but we have to learn like David to just let go and come back to the Lord and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
You face humility.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you spend time in the Bible when you're trucking, or you don't have time to read that when you're working hard?
What I mostly do is listen
Oh yeah.
to videos. I
Okay.
don't
Okay.
read it very much because, to be
Yeah,
honest with you, after I'm done with work, I eat my dinner and poof,
of course.
go to sleep.
Of course.
I do. I have tried to read a lot, or I have tried to read the Bible, but I need to push myself to do more. I have.
Well, you can listen to the Bible if you want.
Absolutely.
That's something you can
I do.
Who are some of the
YouTube is my best friend. Believe that.
Who are some of the you mentioned some preachers that were inspirational, even if they're Protestant. Maybe you can name some names if you know them off the top of your head. Who are some of the preachers, Catholic and non-Catholic Christians, that you like?
There are some Christians. I don't know if I'm gonna get some hate on this
Why?
one,
Why?
but Joel Osteen.
It's controversial.
Yeah.
Controversial, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
His words are so powerful. Okay. Next, there are two preachers that I love to listen to that as soon as I hear their voice, it lifts me up. H.B. Charles
Okay.
and John J. Jenkins.
Okay, I don't know them.
Their voices, they're awesome. There's another preacher. His name is Creflo Dollar. I don't know. I know it sounds weird. I don't know if I said it correctly, but that's Creflo or Creflo. John Hagee. I mean, everybody knows John Hagee. I think everybody
I
knows
don't
John
know.
Hagee.
No.
John Hagee to me is, I mean, that's like he's old school, you know.
Okay.
There's another one. It's Bishop Duncan. If I can't remember, Bishop Duncan Williams.
Is he Catholic?
No, He's from Ghana. He's an
Oh, okay.
archbishop.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. He's
I see him now. I looked him up.
yeah. So,
He's on fire.
Nick, yeah, I like him. Nick sent me I used to listen to his videos. I mean, I know I can't watch them while I'm driving, so I always listen to him. But Nicola sent me this one Catholic priest. I can't remember his name. If he's listening, please. Hopefully Nick types it up in the podcast. But I'm gonna ask. Hold on, let me ask Nick about it. Since I
He's
mean,
not. He's not on my side. He's not in the live chat here
okay.
with me. He's not here, but he might be receptive to your text message there.
But a lot of them are just, they talk about every day. You know what I also like is in all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. That's one verse I always, always, always try to listen. I always try to go by. In all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. You always have to put God first. Cannot put God last, cannot put God third, God fourth. God, what should I do? God, help me get through this. So, in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. I think it's very, very powerful.
Absolutely. So when you're listening to these guys and they set you on fire, is because they're directing your heart and your mind to God in praise, or is it because there are many ways of preaching. We can talk about we can preach about sin. We can preach about judgment and justice of God. We can also preach about the mercy of God. We can also preach, there are many angles to come at. And when I listen to Protestant Christian radio, I have my favorites because what I like is a general message about a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and how we can make everything about Jesus the center of our lives. And that's the Protestant thing that they're really good at. Okay.
Yes.
Over against the Catholic way, where we have all kinds of other stuff, which is very good, like the sacraments, and we have confession and all these sorts of things. And I want to ask you about confession too. But the Protestants have a way of honing in on you and your heart and your relationship with Jesus Christ. And there's some preachers who just talk directly to your heart, and they make you come alive in your faith, at least while you're listening to them, and it can have an afterglow effect. And some people will say, they'll argue that this is sort of an emotional approach to religion where they're just catering to your feelings and these sorts of things. And that's true, but God made us with emotions and with feelings so that we
That is true.
so we could be set on fire for what's most important, right?
When you listen to some preachers and the words they use, it's I mean it gets you teary-eyed,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's kind of like an everyday struggle of what you go through.
Yeah.
But you also have to ask God and Jesus Christ for forgiveness.
Yeah.
You have to confess. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I love this stuff, and then go outside and do some drugs and go hurt people. It doesn't work like that. You have to genuinely be you have to try to do your best. You have to try and be a good person. Not saying that it's hard, but every single day you just gotta keep it. You gotta keep going on. So when I listen to them, I always think about my everyday struggle, but I also think about how you have to be grateful. That's one thing to me that touches my heart. And I don't know if it does with anybody else, but you always have to be grateful what you have, what you don't need, and what gifts are in front of you. Health, family, support. So that's what I truly love. That's what I go by. That's what makes me feel good.
Do you give any thought to those who have passed on and that are in or that may be in purgatory, that are not in heaven yet, but they're not in hell, but they're being purified in purgatory? This is a Catholic teaching, so nothing impure can stand before God. So maybe you have a loved one or a friend who passed on, and you think that you're going to encourage them on their journey by your prayers, and they can help you with their prayers from purgatory. So do you spend time thinking about purgatory at all in those who have passed on?
There's one person I think about a lot, and Nikola can relate, but I don't want to say his
Yeah,
name.
of course. Yeah.
We had a relative, family member, a friend that passed away not too long ago, but I hope he's with God and Jesus Christ. I do. He was battling demons
Yeah.
for a little while. And I hope to God that he's in the right place. I do.
Yeah.
And I pray,
Yeah.
I pray for him.
Yeah. Well, I've got two aunts who killed themselves. I've had other people in my life who have died by suicide. Even my neighbor at work, he died by suicide, and it's a dark thing. But in my heart, I talk to God and I say, you know that person, you know what they're going through, and that's one of the darkest things. Suicide is one of the darkest things. But God, you know that hurt, and you know at the final moments if you are able to touch them and turn them around so that they repent. And so we leave it in God's hands. And I'm using this example of suicide because it's one of the darkest things you can do with your life. It's one of the darkest things you can do. But even there, I leave room for God's mercy. And I don't know. We don't know the heart, right? We don't know.
We cannot judge anybody because the only person that can judge is God.
Yep.
When someone commits suicide, to me, I mean, that's a total sin. But in their defense, how are we to judge them when we didn't know what they were going through? They had to go through the darkest times in their life in order for them to do what they had to do for them to leave us. But what also is, it's an effect that affects us also, because when they leave us, they hurt us also. So, like you said, I mean, it's only God can judge. That's it. We all know it's a sin. It's the biggest sin you could do in the Catholic world. But who am I to judge? So that's my thought on that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you ever heard of this guy here. Where is he? Saint John Vianney. Can you still see my screen?
I can.
Because
on.
You disappeared. Oh, you're getting a text
There
from
you go.
Nicola?
There you go.
So
I can see you now.
That's Saint John Vianney, okay? He was able to read souls, and he was a great saint. I don't know how much you know about him, but he was in France, and I don't know which century it was, maybe the 17th, 18th century, something like that. But in any case, a woman came to him all distressed, and she was upset, and Saint John Vianney spoke with her, and he was very, he was very calm and happy to speak with this woman who had lost her husband, but she didn't know that he knew. And she spoke with this great saint, and she said that she's in great distress because of her husband. She lost her husband by suicide, and the saint was maintaining his composure, and he was very serene. And he told her not to worry. And he said, well, she said, don't you understand? He killed himself. It's the greatest sin. And St. John Vianney said, well, when he jumped off the bridge, and he had a vision of the man, and she didn't tell him, but he had a vision. And he said, when he jumped off the bridge, during those few seconds of the fall, he repented, and he's in purgatory now. So he's saved. And so this was a great shock to the woman. She didn't know anything because she didn't explain anything to this great saint, but he saw by the grace of God.
He saw though with his vision.
And so
What's his name?
Saint John Vianney, the cure of ours, John Vianney. I'll send you a link to him. One of the great saints. He would spend many, many hours in the confession booth, and he was able to read souls. He had the grace from God to look into your soul even before you said anything, to know your sin, to know, because he was helping people in a profound way.
Sacrament of reconciliation.
Reconciliation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look him up. I'm gonna. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very consoling. He's got a soft touch. This priest and this great saint had a very soft touch. And of course, he could be harsh too, because he had many great rich people and famous celebrities coming to him to see what's the hype with his little uneducated priest. Why are people so excited about this little priest? So actresses, movie stars, everyone was coming to see him. And he was able to see which ones were, he would actually smell the stench of sin and pride on these haughty, proud people. And he made no bones about it. Like he would not, how should I say, flatter them. He would be direct with them, like you're in danger and this, you have the stench of sin about you. And so it's a bit of a slap in the face to someone who's well-bred and wealthy.
He had visions. That's what it was.
Yeah. It's a mystical thing.
I'm gonna look him up.
Absolutely. Yeah, you could probably listen to a YouTube. You could listen to a YouTube on your truck when you're
absolutely
when you're trucking.
Oh, trust me, when I'm driving, I got all the time in the world. It's one after the other. That's what I like.
Yeah. Well, what you could do one of these days is listen to all of Nikola Krcic's interviews on my podcast. I don't know how many he's done, probably 8 or 9 now. But you could get to know, and I want to know if you learn anything, or if you already know everything because you've known him for so long and you're so close. But it would be interesting if you discovered something. You're like, hey, I didn't know that about you.
Oh, trust me, I'm jealous. I'm gonna bother him. Don't worry. Watch.
Amazing. So listen, before we wrap it up, because I do have to go, we started a little bit late, but I want to give you a chance just to talk about any of the topics that we didn't cover that you think are very important, especially for my small audience that they might need to hear, because maybe someone needs to hear a message from you, right? That's the thing. So I'll give you the final thought. What would you like to say to anyone that's out there?
God puts people in your life when you need them. That's my message. And when you need Jesus, you need to pray. Believe it in order to receive it. That's what I can say.
Absolutely. If people can be more aware of God through the prayer life and through that intimate connection, because it's an intimate thing.
Absolutely.
Where you're in your own quiet time connecting to your Creator. And if you foster that relationship, and I struggle to, to this day, I've been converted since I was atheist 25 years, and then I converted in 2009. But, it's a struggle to make time for prayer, and not only to pray, but to pray well with quality, with a focus and attention, where I'm not thinking about the next thing, my next meal, my next activity, my next obligation, or, in the back of our mind, we have 1,000,001 things going on. But to make a bit of quiet time for God, I think then they can connect. We can all do that. And then we can understand, like you said, why is this person in my life? Why is that person in my life? What's
Absolutely.
happening? And if someone has removed themselves from your life, or is no longer in your life, you can also understand that, like you said earlier, too.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, my brother. Yeah,
I had a good time with you.
We'll have you back for sure.
I hope so. I mean, I'm okay with it. Give me a call, send me an email.
Yeah. You're part of the CVS family, and glad to have you aboard. And like I said before we went live, any friend of Nikola is a friend of mine.
Thank you.
Hands down.
I appreciate the time.
Yeah, man.
I'm very happy to do this. It's an enlightenment. And I hope to God I see you again.
Yeah, of
Honestly,
course, of course.
it
Well,
was it was a good time. Thank you.
excellent. Well,
I
thank you so
feel
much.
I feel good. You know.
Yeah. Well, you're going to feel even better because I enroll each and one of my guests in a perpetual mass. So you get the graces of the mass every day, and I know you have trouble getting to mass. So
Thank you.
it's going to be said
That's awesome.
for you, your wife, your kids, your parents, your wife's parents, every day a mass being said for you. So that's a big
Thank you
grace.
so much, David.
That's a big grace.
Thank you.
And so in exchange, what I'll ask you to do for me is to ask your lovely wife to come and talk to me on my podcast one time.
Oh my gosh. If she does that, I'm a happy man.
I know I'm not expecting it to happen because it's so hard to get the wives on. It's hard to get the wives on.
Why is that?
They're shy. They're busy with more important stuff.
I get it.
They're not.
I get it.
They're not like us guys. You know, us guys want to get together and talk and whatever. The girls just action.
Well, if you get lonely, just give me, send me an email. We'll link up again with
Yeah.
Nikola.
Yeah, man.
I would really, really, really like it.
Of course, absolutely, my friend. Absolutely, you're part of the family, and we'll talk very soon. Okay, my brother.
Thank you, David.
Please
You have a
remember me
great
and
night.
mine in your prayers. Okay.
Thank you, brother. I will pray for you tonight. Thank you so much.
God bless you, my friend. Nice meeting
Thank you, brother. Yes, sir.
Give my love to the family.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night. Bye.